Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree?
Yes.
It is really co-creating at its best, yes? And you're understanding that you, standing here on the leading edge, are responsible for the summoning forth of the expansion of the universe. Do you get that? We can see how you would be delighted to talk with the likes of us. Because we are non-physical energy and we have broad view. And we know who you are. We know who you are even before you come into these bodies. And we know who you are as you are in these bodies. But the thing that we don't think that you know that we know is that we understand who you have really become now that you are in these bodies. In other words, you live in this time-space reality that is providing contrast for you. And the contrast is causing an expansion of your desires. And the expansion of those desires is causing an expansion of the universe. So something that we want to call your attention to is that as you are living your life experience and something is happening which is helping you to identify or to sharpen a desire, that desire is a vibrational reality that becomes in the moment of the contrasting experience which gives birth to it. And so the thing we know that we don't think you know, that we want you to know, is that in that moment of contrast, the expansion actually occurs. And the part of you that is non-physical, the part of you that is vibrationally like that which is us, goes with that new desire and literally, vibrationally becomes it. In other words, you have expanded in the moment of your knowing what you don't want, because you cannot know what you don't want without the explosion of what you do want happening in the universe. So what we're saying to you is, we become one with that expansion. The non-physical part of you, which is the larger part of you, far and away the larger part of you, the eternal part of you, the non-physical eternal part of you becomes one immediately with every desire in the moment that your contrast gives birth to it. What this workshop is about is the question that so many of you have, and the question that is really a worthy question. Why is it that we're speaking for you, standing in my physical body, don't feel so good? Why is it that there are desires that I know that I hold that are not coming to physical fruition? And we say, it's because those desires have been born and Source has become one with them, and it is truly the vibrational essence of who you now are, but you may very likely still be beating the drum that you were beating that caused you to give birth to the desire to begin with. For example, you don't have enough money, something happens which exaggerates your feeling of not having enough money. You want more money, you've done that like about 1,000,000 times. If you had any idea the resources that have been amassed for you in vibrational escrow, you would feel prosperous. You are multi-millionaires, billionaires in some cases. You have been living and asking, and Source has been yesing, and your vibrational escrow and that which you really are vibrationally is powerfully prosperous. But if you are beating the drum of, I don't have enough money, or what am I going to do, or what am I doing wrong, or why isn't it working for me, or why does it work for that person and it doesn't work for me, or mostly, what am I doing wrong, 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 what am I doing wrong? Well, that's what you're doing wrong. You're holding yourself vibrationally apart from that which you have become. But the good news is, and it is such good news, you have emotional guidance that is letting you know that you are not vibrationally up to speed with that which you have become. Your guidance system, which is based on your emotions, which is felt to you or indicated to you by your emotions, has only the function of helping you to know what your vibrational mix is. And for you beautiful flesh, blood, and bone beings, we can see how sometimes you might not be that interested in what your vibrational mix is. But if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be infinitely interested in what our vibrational mix is, because everything that is happening in your life experience is coming in response to your vibrational mix. You are vibrational beings, period. Oh, there's that bony, bloody, fleshy stuff. We acknowledge. You are beautiful in your manifestation, but you are energy, and you are transmitters of energy, and you are thinking yourself into your creations. And what you think matters, not just what you're thinking about one thing, but what you think about everything, because what you think adds up to your vibrational mix. So, if your life has caused you to launch a rocket of desire where you want something beyond what you are living, more money, an improved bodily condition, an improved relationship, anything, as your life has caused you to want that, you're getting vibrational, emotional feedback on what your vibrational mix is about that subject. Many of you have navigational systems in your vehicles these days. Jerry and Esther have several different kinds now in several different vehicles. But they all operate on the same premise, which is the system, because of the satellites in the sky and the dishes on the roof and the computers in the vehicles, the system knows where they are right now. So they program in their desired destination, and then the system calculates the route between where they are and where they want to be, period. That is the purpose of a navigational system. And your emotional navigational system is exactly the same thing. It is devised to help you to get from where you are to where you want to be by giving you consistent feedback that is meaningful enough that you can translate it and follow it. Well, this gathering is about teaching you how to translate your navigational system, because your emotions are giving you in the moment accurate feedback, guiding you constantly toward what you are wanting. Magellan says to Jerry and Esther, please proceed to the highlighted route. She gives them visual and verbal description of how to get from where they are to where they want to be. And never, not once, has Magellan ever said to them, sassy broad that she is anyway, it is a woman's voice. Sometimes Jerry says, shut that broad up. She is just sort of insistent about where she thinks they should be going. And when they deviate from the route, Magellan squawks. She said, please proceed to the highlighted route. Please proceed to the highlighted route. But not once has Magellan ever said to them, where were you yesterday? Were you good to your mother when you were little? I'm not going to tell you today because you didn't listen yesterday. And never, you can't get there from here. In other words, Magellan calculates the route, and your emotions do exactly the same thing. Now, Magellan is easy to hear and easy to see. And so you've got to put yourself in a place where you can translate your emotions so that you understand them. So let's say something has happened, and you are in a strong place of strong negative emotion. Let's call it depression, a feeling of powerlessness. On one end of the emotional scale is that feeling of powerlessness. It's a feeling of no freedom. It's the feeling of being out of control. And you describe it as depression, maybe, or fear. They're right there close together. On the other end of the scale is a feeling of empowerment. That's the feeling of freedom. That's where joy and appreciation, that's where that feeling of elation is, and passion. We want you to realize that your emotions are about your perception of your freedom. They are really about how in alignment you are with the potential that is really you. And we don't mean potential in the potential sense of the word. We mean potential in the sense that the largest part of you has already become the vibrational essence of whatever your contrast has caused you to want. And your guidance is letting you know where you are in vibrational proximity to what you have become. Do you know, all of the days of your life, as you've been banging around with each other, you've been launching rockets. You've been launching incremental rockets that have given source energy a very clear, accurate sense of who you really are. In fact, not just a sense of who you want to become, but an accurate vibrational accounting of who life has caused you to already become. Do you get that? You are already the prosperous being, vibrationally speaking, and all you got to do is adjust your physical vibration to match it, and then it manifests. And rich people have already figured that out. Healthy people have already figured that out. Those people that are thriving in those arenas that you want to thrive in, whether they have done it deliberately or whether they have done it by default, not knowing what they're doing, they just mimicked somebody else that surrounded them that had already figured it out. Every single person who is living the dream that they once dreamed is someone who somehow, some way, figured out how to get vibrationally up to speed with the essence of that which life had caused them to become. So, friends, dear friends, you're not only causing yourself to become this expanded being, you are responsible for our expansion too. You are the reason for the expanded universe. You are out here on the leading edge, living the nitty-gritty of all of this stuff. It's time for you to give up that unworthy stuff you've been packing around for a while and accept yourself as the leading edge genius creators that you are, with a guidance system that is letting you know how to become a manifested version of the expanded being that this life has caused you to become. You heard that, didn't you? Yes. That's really good. So, you want to get to know your emotional guidance system, don't you? You want to know what that feedback is. And we want you to understand that since you are an extension of source energy, sometimes it's hard for you to hear that, but we don't get how you can not know that. How can you not know that when nothing else could possibly make any sense? How can you not know that you are eternal beings that have come forth from broader non-physical consciousness to experience life, deliberately creating on this leading edge? We want so much for you to get that that's who you are. So, that's who you are. Get it? That's who you are. So here you are, source energy, in these physical bodies, and contrast causes you to launch a rocket of desire. And now the name of this game of life is to close that vibrational gap between the contrast that has caused you to want something. You know, whenever you know clearly what you don't want, you know much more clearly what you do want. So you've been launching incrementally from the day that you came forth into this body, even before that. But we're talking about what this life has caused you to want. So this life experience has caused you to launch these rockets of desires, and these rockets of desires have been being accumulated and tended to by source energy in what we lovingly call your vibrational escrow. In other words, it's there for you. It is your vibrational escrow. It is your future life experience. It is who you are as far as we are concerned right now. It's there. It's us. It's us. It's the us part of you. Already there, knowing where you are in relationship to where we are, which is what you have given birth to and what you are wanting to move toward. Did you get all of that? In other words, you launched the rockets, and source energy has become the manifestation as far as non-physical is concerned of what you want. And now, because we know so clearly who you are, where you are, what you want, where you are in relationship to what you want, source is now beckoning you toward it, giving you constant encouragement toward it, just like you encourage the little one that you have just seen walking for the first time, and you're saying, come on, come on, come on. It's not so different from that. We know you can do it. We know you deserve it. We know that you have given birth to it. There is no reason for you not to have it. Just point this way and keep on the coming. But what trips you up is that you think that when source energy is calling you, that it should sound like angels and harps. So you don't hear the call sometimes, even though it's always there, this constant steady call. It's this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way. Please proceed to the highlighted route. It's this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way, it's this way. And the reason that you sometimes, in fact often, in fact really, really often, do not recognize the call of source energy is because you're over here, bless your hearts, in some sort of negative place, maybe in depression or fear or despair, and the call of source energy, even though it is heart-light from where we are, sounds like rage to you. That was good, wasn't it? Because when you are in a vibration of resistance, you cannot hear the vibration of non-resistance in its pure form, any more than you can set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98 FM. The frequencies have to match up. So when you hear the call of anger, oh, you go there. We've watched you. We love it. And then those around you take you to anger management seminars because they don't get that you're moving up the emotional scale. They haven't figured it out that you're closing the vibrational gap between where you are and what you've really become. And you know what? You've got to close that gap in order to feel joy. You cannot live experience which causes an expanded version of you and stay apart from the expanded version and be happy. You must keep up with what life has caused you to become. Your dear friends, they are well-meaning. Most of them. There's just that one that isn't, but most of them are very well-meaning. Your well-meaning friends see you moving into your rage from your depression or into your anger. And they liked you better when you were in depression. And from their point of view, we understand that. You were easier to deal with when you were depressed. You stayed in your room. You didn't bother anybody. But now you're out there flapping in everybody's face. You're harder to deal with. But you feel better, don't you? Admit it. Doesn't anger feel a whole lot better than depression? It does. And the reason it does is, when you think about it, is because in that depression, you were feeling powerless. And in your anger, you took some of your power back. You began projecting what you want somehow mentally, didn't you? When you get into blame, you're sort of rolling. And what we want you to understand is that as you are moving up this emotional scale, you can't get to joy from depression, not all at once. Joseph Campbell gave you the best words ever, when he said, follow your bliss. But sometimes you can't get a whiff of bliss. And so we say, follow your bliss. And on the trail, on the way to the path of bliss, you may very well find rage and revenge and anger and depression will not be part of your path once you've made it that far. Once you make it from depression all the way into anger, if you've done it deliberately, and if you can personally acknowledge how much better your anger feels than your depression felt, you want to open the window so you can yell at somebody, but you want to open the window. In other words, you feel better when you get mad. So when you go home and you say, well, I went to an enlightened seminar and someone who claims to be non-physical energy said I should just get mad, most people would say you're in the wrong meeting. And we say, if you were feeling frustration and we encouraged you to anger, that would be bad advice, because we would be encouraging you to move back down the emotional scale. But if you are in depression and we encourage you to rage, you're moving in the right direction. As Jerry and Esther are traveling across the desert, they go from Phoenix to San Diego often, so eager to get to San Diego. They love to be in San Diego. And as they're heading out across the desert, they never get halfway out there in the desert around Yuma and then get disoriented because they are so frustrated or upset that they're not yet in San Diego that they lose their way and turn around and go back to Phoenix. Can you imagine what a long journey that would be? Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma. And in time they would say, San Diego is an impossible dream. It is incurable. And we say nothing is incurable. Nothing is impossible. You just got to point toward what you want and keep moving in that direction. And of course, it's easy with a situation like being in a car driving across 400 miles across the desert. That's not hard to tell which way is west. And your logic says, keep going and I'll get there. But we see you sometimes in sickness wanting to go to wellness well along your way because you're beginning to feel hopeful. And vibrationally speaking, you're almost up to speed with that which is waiting for you in your vibrational escrow. Do you know that when you got sick, and even before they diagnosed it, all along that path to sickness, you were launching rockets of desires about wellness, and a vitally well person is waiting for you in vibrational escrow? But you've got to be a vibrational match to that. You can't keep beating the drum of what the X-ray says. You can't keep beating the drum of the feedback that you're getting about where you are. Can you imagine Magellan saying to Jerry and Esther, "We've taken the test and we are so sorry to tell you that you are in Yuma. We had hoped something so much better for you. We have checked with all of the others who have calculated the route in exactly the same way, and the consensus of all this brilliance is that it is absolute. You are in Yuma. You've got a tumor. It's incurable. You've got cancer. You can't make money." In other words, you've been getting so much feedback from those who are giving you maybe accurate feedback about where you are, but where you are does not mean diddly squat. Where you are is only where you are. Where you're going is what matters, and we want to put it to you in a way that you will really hear it. It's not where you're going, it's where the larger part of you has already gone. In other words, if the larger part of you had not already gone over there, you wouldn't feel bad about not having taken the rest of you with it. You see what we mean? If someone you did not know called you on the telephone and said, "Hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again." You would say, "All righty then." But if someone you love and care about were to call and tell you that, you'd have a different emotional response to it. So the point that we're making is, unless life has caused you to become something, there will not be a gap. If you don't want it, there's no gap. If you are satisfied where you are about anything, then there's no reason for you to be called anywhere. And there isn't anything wrong with being satisfied with where you are, but one thing that we have to tell you, we've never known anyone in that state of being. Because the contrasting experiences of life cause you to continue to become, you see. So we call this gathering the art of allowing. And what it really means is the art of allowing the fullness of who you are and who you have become to be. So if life has caused you to put things in vibrational escrow, and you have not yet allowed yourself to become a vibrational match to them, then you are undoubtedly feeling the vibrational discord of not now being up to speed with who you have become. We want you to understand that you're not ever going to catch up with it, because what happens is contrast causes you to launch a desire, then you focus upon it and think about it and find vibrational alignment with it. And as you close that gap by holding your thoughts toward what you want instead of looking at the absence of it, you become a vibrational match to it, and then it must manifest in your experience. Law of attraction says that it must. Law of attraction is responding to the signal that you are offering. So if you want something, but you have something different, what law of attraction is responding to is where your vibration is along that continuum. So if you want more money than you have, what's manifesting is what law of attraction is acknowledging is your dominant vibration on the subject. Makes sense, doesn't it? So if I don't have as much money as I want or need, that's because I'm giving more attention to not enough money. And in doing so, I'm activating the thought until it's a dominant vibrational offering, until it's the easiest thing for me to think about this subject. And law of attraction is giving me the full manifestation feedback on where my dominant vibration is. Everything in your life that you are living is giving you feedback about where your vibration is and has been on every subject in the world. We call that post-manifestational awareness. it could be pre-manifestational awareness if you cared about how you feel. When you start caring about how you feel, and you start closing that gap, not because you're trying to get to the new red car, or to the beautiful new lover, or to the whatever. As you start closing that vibrational gap just because it feels better to close the gap, what begins to happen to you is you begin to clean up your vibration pre-manifestation, and then manifestations start flowing into your experience in great abundance. They do anyway. You get what you think about, whether you want it or not. There is no exclusion in this universe. This is a universe based on vibration, which means when you look at that thing you want and you say yes to it, you are including it in your vibration and it's on the way. When you look at that thing you do not want and you shout no at it, you're actually saying yes to this thing that you do not want because you are including it in your vibration. There's no such thing as no in a vibrational based universe. There's only attention to the subject, the activation of a vibration, which law of attraction is then responding to. We are eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. Nothing is off limits. It will unfold nicely. You will see what a perfect unfolding it is. Because, you see, this gathering gathered before you dragged your physical bodies here. The vibrational essence of who you are is already understood and has already been chewed upon by the broader non-physical part of you. And so now, in a very wonderful co-creative dance, we will, through a series of questions and answers, help you to receive fully the answer to everything that is important to you, provided you are somewhere in the vibrational proximity of receiving the answer. The reason that we babble on and on a little bit at the beginning here is because as you listen to us, we speak that which you know at so many levels of your being. And as you hear us, you cannot help but begin to activate the true essence of who you are. You are source energy in physical bodies, and life is supposed to be good for you. You are supposed to be able to decipher through your perusal of this time-space reality all kinds of things that are of interest to you, and as you do that, source energy will assist you in the full manifestation of them. For this we know, if this time-space reality has the ability to inspire a desire within you, this time-space reality has the ability to give you full manifestational results of that desire. You're supposed to get everything you want. The good news is, as you get it, you can then reevaluate. In other words, once you get all of the cars you thought you wanted, and you have a hard time keeping the oil turned over in all of them, you can release some of them. We suspect that someday we will be having seminars on de-manifestation. Because once you get the hang of this, you only have to focus a little bit in the direction of that which you are wanting. Once you get to the place where you are really living the art of allowing meaning becoming a vibrational match to who I have become, because I care about how I feel, and I'm willing to jockey my thoughts around, moving ever closer to something that is a vibrational match to who I am. There are a couple of things that are essential to your making immediate progress and having outrageous success with this. Most important, you have to decide, and we encourage it as quickly as you can. It'll be easy in some cases and not so easy in others. But here it is. Are you ready? You have to decide that you do not give a rip what anybody else thinks. Because when you try to factor in what they think, then you lose your proximity on your emotional guidance scale. You have within you guidance that is based upon source energy, that is giving you feedback precisely based upon where you are in relationship with what your life has told source energy that you want. It cannot get better than that. So, we want to show you how to follow your bliss, and if we have to take a little rampage through rage, so much the better. What do you want to talk about?